December 14th, 1986. Diary. I dreamed about Bob last night. Not a real nice dream at all. A little sick in my opinion, because I have so much hatred for the way he spoiled me. Made me feel ugly and bad for wanting love or affection. He ruined all of my pride and self-esteem for the longest time. I could only be pretty and sweet, because pretty and sweet was easy. Good grades, even better. No one wanted me. I wouldn't even let on that I knew what sex was. He did ruin me, didn't he? I mean, in the dream, he came to the window at Leo's and saw me. It was a nastier scene in the dream than it was last night in reality. He kept showing me this image of me over and over again. And then he was standing by the tree, and he said, "You wouldn't have been able to do any of that if it weren't for me." I told him he was wrong. I told him I learned all that he saw when I was alone, so that I could do something to make myself feel good and be able to heal the wounds that he made. He said, "Oh yeah? Then why do you want Leo to tie you up? Maybe eat you that way, make you a slave. I know you want it. Just the way I taught you, little bitch. I saw you with the wand, playing with yourself. You were thinking of bad boy Leo, not Bobby, little boy who weeps after he gets fucked by a little slut like you." And I woke up ashamed, horrified, guilty. And I imagined him suddenly, right before me at the edge of my bed. "You forgot, Laura. I know everything, see everything, go anywhere I want. I could tell you more about what you think are secrets than you could tell yourself. You let your guard down, didn't you? Let me have a nice vacation from that stench of yours. Then you had to call me back, rancid little bitch. You're pretty mean to me sometimes when you write, aren't you? We'll have to fix that. Make you love me like you used to. I remember that. Soon you will too." And then he disappeared. I need to do something that is right and good today. Who in the fuck is he, and why does he hate me so much? I want to die and to forget everything else. I can't take it anymore. I begin to feel good, and then someone makes me feel that I'm dirty. Then someone kisses me just right, and I feel wanted and excited all over again. I need to know if what I'm doing is right. I can't let Bob be the one who taught me to wish to be tied up sometimes. I don't ever want to be hurt. I never have. I only want to play the games where I have to say dirty things sometimes, not mean things like Bob thinks. And if I am punished with sex, not pain. Bob is not who puts these ideas in my head. I won't let him be the one. These are my private thoughts. I'm afraid I'll never make it in and out of another sexual experience, ever, without being afraid he will come and tell everyone lies about me. If someone who loves me reads this years from now, please try not to hate me. I only feel the way that I feel. I don't hurt anyone else, and I don't want to. I try every day to be better and more the way I think the world wants to see a girl like me. But I am Laura. I am sad. God, I'm sad again. Why? I miss laughter and a day where time is spent with my friends who don't care what I think of late at night. They don't hate me for sometimes dreaming late at night with my hand buried between my legs, ashamed, and of how I wish that my other hand would simply pull the trigger. Bob, I forbid you to come near me ever again, in dreams or in reality. You are not welcome. I hate you. I feel so alone. Laura. January 10th, 1987. Dear Diary, I tried to talk to Dad at breakfast and he just sat there twitching like he doesn't have time for any extra thoughts. Doesn't have time for the fucking suicide dreams his own daughter is having. Neither one of my parents will talk to me. What is this? Some kind of a dream? Dad took off all of his clothes and shouted, "It's a dream, fucking relax, would you? So your mother saw photos of you licking the little privates of other women. It appeared in these photos that you were enjoying yourself. Is this true? I've never been more afraid than I am in this very minute." I didn't even realize I was sleeping when that was written. Was I? Shit, this is too weird. Just a little too weird. Was Bob here? Was Bob inside? I won't even think it. L. February 3rd, 1987. Dear Diary, there is no cocaine. It's gone. I hate the way I feel. So much like I've been in a vacuum. My body has been violated. My thoughts, my dreams. The images I have of Mom and Dad are now awful and depressing pictures I can't stop seeing. Oh, if she ever knew the things that have happened. I wonder if anyone would believe me if I told them all I know about him. I could have the police wait for him until he showed up, but he would know just like he knows everything in my mind. My mind is his toy. Something he bats around with his paws. And I'm just going to have to tell everyone and make them believe. And just tell. Tell them what, Laura Palmer? Tell them that I take you away and you never argue? You never scream for help? Tell them that you see me, but no one else does? No one will believe you, Laura Palmer. I'm too careful. Dear God, it's happened again. He stepped onto the page. This is not at all what I was trying to write. It frightens me terribly to know that Bob has found his way into the pages of my diary, as if he were feeding the words to my mind, just seconds in time for me to think that they were my own. Is there something I can get for you, Bob? Anything the family might own that you would take in trade for your permanent absence? Talk to me, Bob, about a trade. Trade me for something else. I agree, I'll trade. Who will it be? Can't tell with these things. I may change my mind. I thought so. April 2nd, 1987. Diary. I need coke bad or I'll never make it. I gotta reach Bobby. Where the fuck is he when I need him? This is just great. I'm here, Laura Palmer, honors student, model citizen of Twin Peaks, and I've got a habit I've only just begun. I'm not ready for this job. I'm still afraid Bob's waiting. If he's in the woods, he'll get me now, 'cause fuck if I don't plan on having a big fat line of confidence up my nose in about half an hour. A big white line that calls my name the way a lover should. I wish Bob would trade. If he does, I'll try and find the person and tell them to be aware of the man who can slip maybe in and out of you like a wind that goes unnoticed, then creeps up on you and shoves a fist into the woman's space you seem to have fallen so in love with, Laura Palmer. You shouldn't wish for these things. You won't get what you want, I'll make sure of it. Remember, Laura Palmer, I can manipulate your conscience so that you feel nothing but what I choose for you to feel. Don't you feel like dying, Laura Palmer? Don't you just feel like giving in to me again? Take me back, and I won't cause a horrible accident later today. If somebody gets hurt, you can smile knowing it's all due to you, selfish drug addict lesbian. Fuck you. Maybe if I just get to Leo's for some coke, I can get my shit together and earn my freedom back. My privacy of thought, all of it. I'm taking it back. It belongs to me. I just need some coke. I need a ride out of here. Fuck it, I'll walk. I'll just get up and walk downstairs and out the front door like nothing is wrong. I'll get some Coke, and everything will be better. I'll be able to think. I'll just walk to Leo's, and everything will be fine. I'll bring you with me, diary. Laura. April 2nd, 1987. Dear Diary, Leo had company of the female persuasion, and they were unable to get the door. Oh, God, money. Shit. Maybe he'll front the Coke to me and I can pay him later, or... Wait, he's coming out of the house. Talk soon. L. Leo will be fair about the Coke money. I hope. April 2nd, 1987. Back and happy at Leo's. He's got it, and it's good. He just set me up with a nose load, and my head is starting to sort through the mental files again. Feel the blood in my veins. I told Leo I wasn't like this weird addict, but I just haven't slept in so long. Wait. Bob is gone. I can't feel him around. Maybe it's because I'm high. Maybe I'm crazy and I made him up. No, fuck that. I'm only crazy if I believe he's only in my imagination. He's real. I know he's real. I do. I couldn't and wouldn't create something as evil as the man I speak of. I'm beginning to truly become what Bob told me I would. A fallen girl, misused, mistrusted, lost. Love, sex, and drugs because they're always there, making me feel the high I expect. No surprises. Can't you see you're killing me, Bob? Is that the point? I miss the days only a year or so ago when I could hardly remember a thing. I just knew somehow that on certain nights I came home, cried a lot, and hid in the bathroom, ashamed. I remember what you said to me, you shit. I remember. I know you cut me when I was very young, several times, and you told me that I was in big trouble because I had bled. You told me good children don't bleed down their legs. You told me I was not a child of God. Was there anything you chose to allow me to feel normal about? I grew up with you always there, showing me evidence of my evil-blooded nature. You were that voice. You son of a bitch. Leo needs to see me about the money. I hope this transaction goes smoothly, painlessly, and silently. I told Leo that if Bobby shows up, I need to hear from him right away. We've got to find another dealer just for tonight. I got the last of the pure, except for Leo's personal stash, and that's just what the name says. Personal. If I didn't have so much shit on my mind, I wouldn't need more than this for the night, but I do. I have to have it. It's all I have right now, man. My friend, the White Line, who I am so conveniently reminded of each time I travel a major highway or see a snowstorm or a dash of baby powder, sitting like a tease inside my own fucking house. I hope we can get more. We have to. After the past few days without sleep, this fucking Bob deal, I just can't go to sleep. Too dangerous. And what, Laura Palmer? It's been 2-3 days since you first snorted. You're a messed up bitch. Still here. Fuck you, Bob. So I am what you always told me I was. A little bitch, dirty and sleazy and fucking people to pay for drugs. You win. You fed me pain when I had none, and when I did have pain, you said it was my own fault. I think you are the most repulsive, evil, conniving man to ever step foot in my life, where you had no invitation, no right. What in the fuck do you want? You cheat by never, ever having to argue with someone strong enough to fight you. Conquer someone like that, then I'll admit you've won. I'll even follow you. No arguments. Laura Palmer believes you are a cheat. Oh. June 24th, 1987. Dear Diary, it is very late at night, and I do not care to check in or to alert someone of where I am, or even if I'm safe. I don't care to think about it. I don't want to know any more about myself from anyone. Too many lies have entered me like bullets that have made wounds. Slow bleeding. It would be years later that I would notice, begin to feel the weakness, fall into the world of drugs, the world of sex for show and power. For strength I thought I wanted, I went to the wrong people. The part of me with the ability to decide for myself whether something is right or wrong has been taken away. A decision lasts only a moment for me before I doubt it and curse myself for ever thinking I was capable of choosing right over wrong. I should have learned ages ago how to remember you. Perhaps I could have saved myself from some very sad moments, very bad dreams, and several hundred desperate attempts at regaining my better self, the one who welcomed you in, the one to whom you owe an entire lifetime. I certainly hope you got what you needed. I can't have good things. Not now. I don't know the road to responsibility the way I used to. So simple to just walk down. I have sent Troy away, set him free with several lashes to the ass, a method that kept me running for some time, as you must remember, Bob. He's gone. I don't deserve him, nor does he deserve a life that begins and ends each day in a small square box. A reminder, if you will, that he is not free, but owned. I let the pony go. One of the last things I had hoped for before calling all of your shit. It doesn't matter anyway. I hope Troy understood why I made him leave me. I'm so afraid that anything I touch runs the risk of contact with Bob. I'll be investigating death, don't worry. I can feel you deciding how and when. You bastard. Laura. November 12th, 1987. Dear Diary, I hope God reads this. I could use the help. It is definitely the end of my life, the end of my belief in myself. Trust, everything gone. Leo and Bobby came to get me at the stables because I could hardly walk another step. Bobby said he had called home for me and told them he was taking me out to a surprise dinner. We'd be back late. That was very sweet and considerate of him, I must admit. But like I told Leo and Bobby from the back seat as I changed clothes, again a thank you to Bobby for borrowing something for me to wear of Donna's, who tells Bobby she is worried about me. I'll admit surprises here. Not that I doubt Donna's loyalty or her friendship, but I believe now too much in Bob. I told them both that I was worried, that I had good reason not to leave any one place all night long. I said I was concerned enough that if we all agreed we could turn back and forget the Coke until tomorrow. Bobby laughed at me, and Leo patted my hand as if I were something cute, something that chirped the same message again and again, pulling a string at my back, unnecessary. I don't think that's very safe. We drove out past Milltown and deeper into Lowtown. I've never seen a night so dark. No moon anywhere in the sky. This even worried Leo, who I'm sure will take good care of me until I go. Everything I need right now is either a substance or the cash with which to buy a substance. My little white friend. Another lie, but at least I looked this one right in the face and said I'd believe it anyway. Temporary happiness is better than slowly allowing friends, family, lovers, a frightening peek at how close I am to self-destructing. Don't come too close. There is no longer safety in numbers. I can promise you that. We drove up to a small road without a posted sign of any kind, but assumed it was the right road, as it was the only one around for miles. Bobby just sat there before driving down toward the house. Leo egged him on like, "Come on, Bobby, let's drive." I tried to get his attention too, but he was honestly in another world. His face was something out of the Twilight Zone. The minute Bobby came out of his thought, he began barreling down the road, complete darkness ahead of us that somewhere shadowed a house. One I hoped was filled to an obscene level with cocaine and a quick drink if I managed to smile. Show teeth, I thought. Leo looked at me like for a moment it struck him as wrong to be down here, under these conditions, not knowing anyone, and padded up with cash totaling in the thousands. I just slid back into my seat and shut up, suddenly realizing how ridiculous it was of me to change clothes. I'm only dressed for trouble when it comes to Lowtown, in an hour of darkness still not explained in news reports or radio stations. They're not even saying there's a power failure. I said, "I wonder how long it would take police to get down here after a call." Bobby reached into his jacket and produced his father's pistol. It gleamed only slightly, and I told him he was completely fucked out of his mind to be carrying that around with him. I was now sure that it was not a stomachache I was experiencing, but instead a quite obvious gut instinct to turn around and drive like fuck all until we were close to home. The car did not turn, nor did it slow. The road showed no signs of life, no house up ahead, not a fucking soul around. Well, perhaps a soul or two, which was even more reason to make a silent getaway while we still had a chance to leave together. Out of nowhere, it seemed, Bobby slammed on the brakes. The truck spun in 2 full circles and dust shot up and we began to glow in the light from the headlights. Finally, we stopped. We were all in a bit of shock. I thought I saw someone, Bobby said. I didn't want to run him over. We all got out and moved slowly in the dark. All of a sudden, someone grabbed me from behind and began to strangle me. I thought, I don't believe I'm gonna die this way. In Lowtown during a blackout no one will even admit is actually going on, while I'm trying to buy drugs, cocaine to be specific, and neither of the 2 strong and burly men I have as companions knowing I'm being fucking strangled. I thought that was it. I'd bought the goddamn farm here. Cash, paid in full. The grip loosened, my vision blurred, and I passed out cold. I woke up in this drug dealer's house with a headache that I thought was an aneurysm. Bobby and Leo came into the room, and Bobby obediently took a seat next to me and acted worried about my head, and his concern reminded me of just how it had happened. And I said, with a fair amount of sarcasm in this, I might add, whose fucking bright idea was it to strangle me until I passed out cold? No one responded. Then I guess this would be the way you guys meet chicks here in Lowtown. Silence in return. Classy. The fattest of the 4 dudes pulled a gun from his shirt and aimed it at me. I looked at him, like he was going a bit overboard, maybe. That a shut up or a fuck off would have been perfectly clear to me. He cocked the motherfucking thing and brought it to my face. I apologize, sweetheart. Can't expect everyone wearing a dress to be a girl. He looked at me, licked his gun. Nice titties. I know. Not that his explanation for strangling me made any sense at all. His apology was accepted and quite seriously preferred over a permanent hole in my head. I offered my hand and thanked him for not shooting me. It would have really fucked up my evening. There was a pause, and no handshake. Slowly and with great pleasure, he began to curl the edges of his mouth up, 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 and ended the performance in a frozen eat shit and die grin, the likes of which I had only seen once before. I knew the deal was bogus. I found myself kept alert and up to date on the etiquette of silence by the 4 pistols that found quite important parts of my face on which to rest their barrels. Cold metal. A chill at the base of my neck. Frightening. Call me crazy, but weapons often cause me to hyperventilate and desire large quantities of fresh air ASAP. I told them I was going to the truck. I kept thinking one of the guns would go off and make a beeline for me. I had to get air, which was made more difficult than usual due to the shrinkage that took place in my neck. Besides, I'm afraid of bullets and would bet good money that they hurt when inserted inside the flesh at high speed. I was suddenly aware of persons in military attire, posted like frozen nightmares all around the house. One of the soldiers came up to my window, and I was all huddled up because it was chilly, and I was frightened. One of the straightest faces I had ever seen asked, "You ever think about dying?" "Not in a situation like this one, no, sir." He looked at me like I had just made his promotion arrive a few days earlier than scheduled, and he said, "You must want to step outside the vehicle, please, miss." "Are you just going to shoot me or something?" "There's been a fair amount of cocaine stolen from inside the house. I thought maybe you'd like to show me that the truck is clean and we can go on with business. Par the norm." I got out, and I thought I was going to shatter into little pieces of bone. I was so scared. "Everything okay?" "On my end of the shotgun, yes it is." I couldn't move. "Your end isn't much of a party, is it?" No, it's more like a wake. No party I'd like to go to, sir." "You can go back to your seat and relax." "What's going on in the house right now?" He shrugged. "I guess the boys are sitting around debating whether or not to blow their faces off or send them back to Hightown just the way they came in." "Oh, I feel much more relaxed now, thank you." I had to sit in that fucking truck for almost 40 minutes waiting to find out if Bobby and Leo were allowed to drive home in solid rather than liquid form. At last they came out of the front door, patting these bullies on the backs and laughing like they went way back. I thought, gee, this is great. I'm out here about to be shot point blank for lifting a kilo of cocaine. I carefully inserted it under my dress, which still appeared skin tight, and proved me innocent of the theft. And the thanks I get is a snail's pace on the way to the truck, and a cheesy example of male bonding if I ever saw one. And then a look of total fear came from Bobby's eyes to mine and registered, "Look out." Guns started going off like the NRA had accepted applicants who were legally blind. People were just fucking shooting at each other, paranoid and so high that if they were hit they'd notice sometime tomorrow. I slid over into the driver's seat and swung around to where Leo was hiding, unarmed, praying like a madman, and we were gone, speeding down the road back towards the city. Then it was my turn to send the "oh shit" look. When we were halfway down the road, I looked in the rearview mirror and saw someone else in the truck bed with Leo, and Leo was losing something awful. Bobby pulled out his gun and with his free hand lifted himself outside the window and told the guy he had 2 seconds to disappear or die. He had to choose fast. The guy sat up and Bobby shot him in the chest at a range of about 3, maybe 4 feet. The speed of the bullet sent the guy flying out of the back of the truck and onto the ground behind us. Bobby screamed at me, "Get the hell out of here, drive!" As soon as we were back on paved roads, Bobby lowered himself into the cab, still holding the gun in his hand as if he were ready to fire. Bobby was silent on the whole way home. Leo sat in back and thanked God for the miracle of prayer. I wondered if there was a lot of blood in the back of the truck and if the man was dead. At Leo's house, I walked in and asked him if we were alone. He said we were, and so I removed the entire kilo of cocaine from my skirt, plastic in mint condition. A good job, I thought, for an amateur like myself. I apologized to Bobby for probably causing the extra man to hide in the back. I was searched, though, and the guy said I was clean. I thought they'd given up, seeing as how everyone was hugging each other on the way out of the house. They were telling us nice and slow, Leo said, how they'd find us and remove our genitalia, 1/2 inch at a time, with a butter knife, if the bimbo with us was sitting on a kilo of their coke, and it wouldn't be long before we'd bypass all hospitals and go directly to hell. I sat down and thought for a moment about the word bimbo. "Hey, you guys," I said. "I'm real sorry. I wouldn't have done it if I didn't think you guys would be jumping up and down about it." No response. "I'm the one who suggested we not go at all, remember?" A smile from both of them. Leo nodded toward the kilo and said, "You got yourself quite a party in that bag." Bobby turned and looked at me with sudden pride. A couple of regular Bonnie and Clydes. That drama ended, and yet there was another to come. We, of course, decided to begin blowing the stuff up our noses in quantities never before accepted by the human body. If the bullets didn't kill us, the mountain of cocaine would come in a close second. We were high. I needed to get out. I wanted some stuff from the cash and carry. Neither of them would even think of leaving the couch. They were into the television, and even more so the macho thrill of sitting in front of a mountain of cocaine with 3 straws protruding from a hole at the top of the bag. Both of them looked at me with puppy dog eyes and diluted pupils and said, "Do you mind if we just hang?" I was a little pissed at Bobby for not offering to escort his own girlfriend, the very one who had risked her life, however worthless at the moment, to ensure that he be as high as he was. I figured, screw him, and decided I could handle a 2-block drive down the road to the store without breaking into the sweats or experiencing an emotional breakdown. I drove off, and as I passed the only other 2 homes on the road, I noticed a magazine lying on the floor of the truck that I hadn't noticed earlier. Flesh World magazine. My mind went reeling. A magazine that could perhaps teach me something I hadn't thought of myself. And bam. I pulled over to the side of the road, and before I got out of the truck to see what I had hit, I saw myself 4 years ago. A young girl, awakened by the noise, came flying from the front door and began to slow as she saw the animal in the road. She looked at it and took 1 step closer, still not going within 15 feet of it, as if to spare herself the reality. I turned and saw Jupiter. A cat identical to the one I considered a best friend before some drughead like myself came along without any thought, cared more for the stories in a porn magazine than for what might be crossing the road. I couldn't help but begin to cry. Then I couldn't stop. I was the person years later I had hated for taking my cat away from me when I needed his company the most. I told the little girl I would do whatever she thought was best. If she wanted a new cat, I would be happy to buy it. She looked at me and tried to cheer me up. Her cat is stuck to the road because of my sex hang-ups, and she's trying to make me feel better. She came around to the side of the truck where I was leaning. I was unable to face her. I felt such tremendous shame, I could barely move. "Please, stop crying." Jesus, she even sounded like me. "Why are you so sad? I didn't mean to make you feel so bad." I looked down at her and I saw something I missed so much. Such a willingness to forgive. Such a big heart. This one girl could love all these United States and leave no one feeling lonely. When I was just about your age, I had a cat who looked just like yours. I called him Jupiter, and he was probably the best friend around. Someone hit him out in the street, and I heard the noise and I came running to help him. I remember I was so amazed by how quickly death decides it's hungry. There was a moment where there was only the wind. We said nothing. Then she looked up at me and asked, "Did you forgive the person who hit your cat?" I crouched down beside her and told her that Jupiter was killed by someone who hit and ran. I figured she was in heaven, but I missed her a lot. And I forgave her death, but I don't think I ever forgot that someone hit my cat, but didn't stop to say they were sorry. She held up her hand, and her nightgown flannel made me smile. "My name is Danielle." She shook my hand tight. "My name is Laura Palmer." I gave her a hug, and she wrapped her arms around me, warm. "It's very nice to meet you, Danielle." I stood. It takes an awfully special person to forgive so easily. She held my hand for a minute, and after thinking about something very carefully, she looked up at me and said, When I heard the noise, I was worried that the cat had been hurt. But I came out, and I saw you. And you were crying more than me because you remembered your cat, and it made you sorry you hurt this one. Why would I want to make you feel bad for anything you do? I think you're nice, Laura Palmer. Danielle, I think you were extra special nice with sugar on top. I looked away toward the cat, then back to her. My mom is gonna get it. Little Danielle made me feel more than anyone I'd been around in ages that there was still a chance for everything to work out. I even began to think a new cat would be nice. I just remembered that I set my horse free. I hoped I didn't send it off somewhere where it might be hit or not taken care of the way he should. Guess I should have thought of that before I allowed myself to be swept away by the drama of setting my horse free to go and do whatever he wished. Alone. Boy, I'm not racking up the brownie points this week, am I? What very dark, but almost omen-like events I've gone through. Why? Am I supposed to get back up onto life and get a job? Or am I still revved up to die? All I know is I'm taking the truck back right away, and I'm leaving the drugs behind for a sobering walk home. Maybe Mom will make hot chocolate, and I can edit the evening's events and just be with my mom. I'll take the truck back and go right home. I'll just walk. Just get home. Write you when we get there. L. November 13th, 1987. Dear Diary, I am home. It's early. Leo and Bobby weren't very happy about the fact that I wanted to go home. Leo had decided that it was going to be a night of new and, quote, unusual things. Bobby was really, really high, and I think Leo had told him that he was supposed to talk me into going along with whatever Leo wanted, because I had never seen him so concerned about keeping me somewhere. His constant looks toward Leo make me think that Bobby felt guilty, or maybe uncertain about whether or not he should be leading me into this. Waving the cheese in front of the mouse. The little blonde-haired, very frightened little mouse. See the trap? See it? Go. You wanted this anyway, remember? Leo shook his head when I told him I had decided I wanted to leave, that something had happened that had made me feel... I stopped. I didn't finish my sentence because I suddenly saw that the two of them were in no position to even pretend they cared about some cat out on the road. An animal in white, perhaps still out there. Or, like I imagined while driving slow, lights off, back to the end of the road. I saw its dead eyes locking on the vision of a mother, probably tired and wondering if her daughter would be all right. Wondered, as she carefully lifted the animal's body, if death stopped right here. Maybe she thought about work to be done the next day, thought about hovering there in the road, so tired, always tired. I guess I'm just thinking about myself here. I am tired. I'm the one who asks, is death only the frozen image we have of the animal's body? Grandfather's ashes, just an easier way to fit him inside an urn. He's just a body anyway. Why not decorate the remains? When I die, I guess they'll bury me. I hope the cat was buried. I thought of staying there to help, but everything was too close. The body stays there, like a message. Maybe roadkills are more than they seem. Messages like tonight's was. Or examples we never pay attention to. This is what it is. Stillness. Eternal privacy. I didn't want to stay tonight with the guys. I wanted to go home, sleep in my bed, be a little girl again, fake an illness or cramps and ask Mom to take care of me. Read Sleeping Beauty or Stuart Little, sip coffee while she turns pages, watches me. I wanted that, but I knew I would end up staying at the house, sneak in early before dawn, beat the alarm by seconds, strip down to nothing, and slip into bed. I knew I'd tell you what had happened, simply, with a pen and no sound. Words have been strange to me these past few days. Mine have been lies, again and again. Another comes along to help the other lie live, stay real. Bobby's words have been like little knives. I know he doesn't mean to hurt me, but his surprise in my behavior, the other night, last night, the difference he sees when I get high. And there's been a lot of that. He says he never knew I was so wild inside. I think he means he never knew I was so bad. He never knew Laura Palmer the way the woods, the trees, the earth knew her. Often shaken and angry, threatened, paralyzed, unable to run, or never chose to. Laura Palmer was told that she deserves pain, and a kind of closeness most people never talk or think about because they think it's wrong. Laura Palmer, she was born without a choice, was told very quietly one night long ago that she would like it or she would have to be killed. I stayed at the house. Leo wanted me to drink something, relax. He said he wanted me the way I had been. He said I had promised him he'd make sure I was home in time. No one would know. He kneeled down in front of me and took me by the wrists, tight. I thought of Bob and closed my eyes. I must have winced, made a sound, something, because he said, I knew it. I knew this meant something to you. He moved his hold on me down to my hands, held them more softly. Good. I knew you'd understand. I saw it. I heard Bobby get up from his chair, and I heard Leo stop him. Sit down, Bobby, now. Laura will get you a drink. She'll open her eyes, and we'll all have a drink. I opened my eyes slowly. Leo let my hands rest in my lap. I stood up and went to the kitchen for Bobby's drink. I could hear the two of them talking in the other room. They started to argue about something. I think it was me, the plans for the evening. It actually hurt my head, my ears when they argued. I didn't want any more talking like that. I went out to where they were sitting and told them to shut up. I wanted them to shut up. I would do or say whatever tonight's games required. There didn't need to be fighting. I wanted to have fun. I wanted to be high like they were. I wanted to forget what had happened outside on the road. Bobby came into the kitchen and told me I was lucky Leo hadn't given me a good smack for telling him to shut up in his own house. I told him it wasn't luck. Leo liked me. If he hit me, ever, it would be a part of the agreement. Bobby said that he'd like to go out, just the two of us, next week, maybe on a date. He missed being with Laura. I hated him for saying that. I wanted to slap him. Instead, I told him I didn't miss Laura at all. I told him he may never see her again. We drank for a long time, just sitting there, doing lines and watching Leo. I didn't know what for, but I knew I had to be ready. He might be nice, he might not. I wasn't looking at Bobby the whole time. I made sure he saw me with Leo. I didn't like Bobby's missing the sweet Laura. I can't wake her now. She doesn't like nights like this. She wouldn't want to play. I did. I needed to be someone different from her. I had to shake off whatever calls Bob to my window. I told them I wanted to go out into the woods. Leo looked pleased and smiled at Bobby. He looked back at me, nodded toward my empty drink. You feeling fucked up? I told him I was, but I didn't want to be inside anymore. I didn't like the light. I told him it made things too easy. I started to pack up some coke for the woods, and Leo looked at me like I was stealing or something. I told him, listen, I stole the shit, right? I'm the one that's gonna make your night, and I am not going to start coming down while I'm out in the woods. He said he was just watching me, said I should relax. Then he came over to me close. He said he liked it when I stood up for myself, but there would be no room for that out in the woods. I suddenly pictured myself out in the darkness with my arms spinning around me, spinning. Leo and Bobby in my sight each time I spun. Then a slow dream of Leo, his eyes big, pleased, lips parting, his hands coming together again and again as he slowly applauded my performance. Before we left, Bobby came out of the bathroom and said he'd decided he was tired, didn't want to be around. He said he knew that tonight was about Leo and me anyway. He said maybe he'd call me in a few days. Leo smiled as Bobby slammed the front door shut. Bobby's a smart boy. I nodded, but inside I wanted to kill Bobby for making me feel bad. He wanted Laura, sweet and pure, to run after him, walk home beside him, her hand in his. He made me want her for a moment. It isn't safe. He didn't understand how unsafe that was for all of us, especially out here. The woods needed to see me tonight. They needed to see how I've grown, what I've become. Then they can tell Bob to stay away from me. He'll think his job is done. Leo came over to me and slipped his hand up my blouse, held my eyes with his, found the nipple with his finger, held my eyes, wouldn't let me look away, and said, "You won't miss him. You won't miss anyone." He released my eyes, my legs almost gave out on me. Take me somewhere. Make me forget. I reached for his arm so that I could regain my balance. He said he had something in mind. He said it could get scary, but it would be okay. He said if he liked me after tonight, we could really start to get close. He wanted to see me tonight first, alone. He asked me if I liked to be scared. I said that sometimes scary things happen, but they're gone in the morning. I told him I wanted to get really hot. I needed to feel that. I hadn't felt that for a long time. I'd been busy giving it. When we left the house, he put a blindfold around my head. He whispered, "Can you feel the darkness?" I told him I could. He said, "Good. I'm going to take you into it, just like you wanted. I'll guide you, so you just walk with me until I tell you to stop." We began walking, and as we did, I felt the trees close in above me, noticed the wind, slowing, spinning, until it settled, unable to return to the sky. I heard Leo breathe, felt his hand on my back, strong. I wanted to tell him that I was getting that feeling in my stomach, the one that makes you loose, makes you want things. But he wouldn't let me talk. He said that he would do all of the talking until he needed to know something from me. He was pretty sure, he said, that he would know how I felt without me even saying it. It seemed like a long time before he stopped, and I didn't know what to do, so I waited for his lead. When we finally came to a stop, I heard him begin to circle me, his footsteps faint on the needles covering the ground. I could feel his eyes as if they were hands, up and down, following this curve and that. He stopped behind me. "Can you keep a secret, little girl?" I wasn't sure if I should answer. "It's okay. Go ahead and tell me." "Yes, I can keep a secret." I suddenly began to feel and smell the same deep musk of the woods. I know it well. I began to feel my fear setting in, and I had to roll my head, loosen up, fight it. Remember what this is about. The secret is that sometimes, right in the spot, I I hear voices. Sometimes I realize that I'm not alone. Whose voices do you hear? The voices I don't know, but sometimes, if I'm very quiet, I find that I can feel those people around me. I can hear them talking about me, but if you were to try and see them, they would most definitely disappear. Do you hear any voices now? I think I hear them faintly, coming in this direction. Does that scare you? I don't think so, no. I was ready for a busload of truckers to arrive and begin some kind of strange ceremony. I suddenly felt very exposed. I wondered how many people were on their way. I'm going to help you sit down over here. Leo sat me down, and I realized I was in a quite comfortable chair, dead in the middle of the woods. What was this place? Had I ever seen it during the day? Music began to play, strange sounds of water and something I couldn't place, and a drum, low. I felt it in my chest. It was loud enough that I was suddenly unable to sense by sound if someone was near me or not. I heard in my ear, "Wait here, relax, enjoy." I'm not sure I can even describe to you the next 5 hours of time. The music was constant, a rhythm that made me sway and ache for more of everything. More of the hands that were suddenly upon me, lips soft amongst my neck, hands on my chest, thighs, face, voices in my ears whispering close, backing away. I think that there were 3 different women, and at least 4 men, Leo included. I was tied, eventually, to the chair with the rope that bound my hands almost to the point of discomfort, which I knew was part of the game, and well planned. Each and every fantasy one might conjure late at night, with the exception of farm animals, was performed on, with, or for me. It was like I had been swallowed by a dream, perfect in every way. My only responsibility was to maintain my blindness and allow each person his chance to come and be with me. I could hear them, the others who would wait in line to see me. Just voices in the woods, whose bodies became images I could hear, see them through the sounds they made. Everything became so sensitive. I could hear them all night as they would excite each other to the point of small internal convulsions, billions of tiny waves of light, water, electricity running through them. All of them would react with a strange joy and amazement, a thirst when one would reach a climax. Even I, who sat away from them as if on display, more a trophy than a freak, felt pleasure in the sounds around my feet. These people, all of various ages, spent evenings in the woods forgetting names and histories, using only their most basic feelings and wishes to be held and touched, wanted and completely accepted, no matter what they looked like, or who they were at work or school the following mornings. It was dark and strange and almost intoxicating at times. I would sway, my head heavy in this darkness. The energy was so thick I almost felt the air separate, part slowly to let me move. Each and every nerve in my body had something to say, a scream beneath the skin, constant and much greater than the usual, because I could not sense it coming. I could swear there were times I was sensitive enough to feel the fingerprints of those who touched me, see them by how they felt across my skin, each pattern like light trails behind my eyes. When I saw again with my eyes, the image was of my house, the light across it just before sunrise, a yellow mist of light still fighting the shade that has not finished its stay. It took me a minute to really focus. Leo sat next to me in his truck. He said he was leaving, and that his wife would be coming back home soon. In order to meet again, we would have to plan carefully. I had forgotten about the wife, Shelley. Quite pretty. She waitresses with Norma at the Double R. So, anyway, I told him to call me. He said he had a few things I'd be needing while he was away. He handed me a backpack stuffed beyond its limit. He warned me not to open it until I was alone. He kissed me, then watched me go in the front door, and he drove off. I had a daydream as I made my way upstairs that Mom woke up and asked how the orgy had been. I gave her all the details, and she began reliving her own experiences of strange evenings in the woods. She wanted to call her friends and tell them her daughter had been in an orgy. And wasn't that wonderful? The daydream ended when I reached the top of the stairs and saw that my bedroom door was wide open. I stopped dead in my tracks. I looked in my parents' bedroom. The door was closed tight. When I turned back to my room, what I saw was horrifying. I could clearly see a man's shoe behind my door, and then he emerged, smiling. It was Bob. With one hand he took my wrist, and the other he placed across his lips. Shh. With one quick pull, he brought me inside the room with him. The door slammed shut behind me. Stop. It must be a dream. I'm high. I haven't slept. Don't wake Mom or Dad, or now they'll know you've been out. They'll have questions you can't answer. Think. I'm going crazy, pacing and struggling with thoughts and words, and the image of that haunting grin. Stay away from me, Bob. I can do whatever I want. Stay away from this house. Leave me alone, or I swear I'll find a way to make you sorry. Can't feel sorry, Laura Palmer. Look at where I am because of you, and your sickness, your weakness. You are an awful creature. No conscience, no guilt. You said so yourself. I see you got yourself fucked last night, and Al told me. Really into that coke, aren't you? Dirty girl Laura Palmer. You should know by now that you can't impress me. I'm not interested in what you do with your little coke friends. You all looked ridiculous, or so I heard. Get out of my head, now. Nah. Leave me alone, you sick bastard. How dare you? I don't want you here. Get out. Get out. I'm tired of accepting you all the time. I hate you. Leave. It isn't up to you, Laura Palmer. You should watch that ego. Quite unbelievable. Fuck you. Crying isn't going to stop me from staying either. I'm immune to your emotional, adolescent, fucking lesbian horror whining and self-pity. I'm the best thing in your life. You aren't. It's not true. Isn't it? Stop lying to me. I have better things in my life than you. I know it. Oh, yes? Name one. My parents. Doubt it. They haven't kept me from getting to you, have they? Neither one talks to you the way they used to. They stopped caring a long time ago. They put up with you, nothing more. I'm better. Donna. The best friend you never speak to. The one you left behind in exchange for drugs. You are sadly mistaken. I have myself. Me. I'm better than you are. No, I have you. You belong to me. You don't do anything I don't allow you to do. I run your life, and I steer you as I wish. No. Still here. You're not real. I refuse to believe that you are real. I'm only imagining you. I make you. I'll just stop. You'll have to leave if I stop believing. Try again. I've been here for years and years. Your belief doesn't mean a thing. Your opinion is nothing. Think about it. Look at your life. You go fucking around with people. Drugs all the time. You'll be 16 soon. Your life is shit, and you're not even 16 yet. Look in the mirror and see for yourself. You are nothing. What do you want? What for? Entertainment. I enjoy watching you fight the truth. What fucking truth? Your life is worthless to everyone, including yourself. I do you a great favor. I teach you. You owe me your loyalty. You owe me everything. I owe you nothing. I'm the best thing in your life. Goodbye. I'll be here. Fuck you. Soon. You will. Stop. See you in the dark, Laura Palmer. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Stay the fuck away from me this time. You're in my head. No one else sees you or hears you, so you must be in my head. I'm not letting you back into this room. Never. You are only an idea. You are a fear. You are only my little girl, Fear of the Woods creation. See? Can't come back now, can you? You have no power if I don't give it to you. This time I'll keep you away. This is my life. It's mine. You've no place here. I have work to do. Sleep to get. You are dead. You aren't even a memory. Laura. P.S. Watch the window, Laura Palmer. December 15th, 1987. Dear Diary, I'm sorry I've not written to you in so long, but I've been working so hard. There's so much you don't know. First of all, I decided to make a deal with the Horns. I realized when I was up there last that Johnny seemed lifeless, unattended to. Sad. So I proposed to them that I would tutor Johnny 3 times a week, spend at least an hour, hour and a half with him, reading, talking, etc., for a small amount of cash weekly. They loved the idea and agreed to pay me cash, $50 a week, $200 a month. The money helps me a lot with the coke, but it's mostly nice to be around Johnny because he loves me no matter what I do when I'm not around him. He doesn't hurt me or tease me or want to sleep with me or tie me up or cut me or any of the millions of things I feel like people do to me all the time. Always touching me and taking something, always wanting more and more and more. All Johnny wants is for me to read to him. Sleeping Beauty is his favorite. He likes to rest his head in my lap and look up at me as I read to him. We take a moment every so often to look at the pictures, and I'll sometimes have to explain the pictures, as well as some parts of the story, in a way that Johnny will better understand them. He often gets this very confused, lost look on his face, as if he's afraid he doesn't understand anything. I always stop him when I see him feeling that way and go over it with him. Many afternoons we go out onto the front lawn and play with his bow and arrow. He has these rubber buffalo that he shoots down from across the yard. He smiles so beautifully when he hits them. It's his high. It's the strangest scene. Johnny out on the lawn, the grass a blinding green under his moccasins, his arrow tied in the bow as he pulls back, smiling. He releases it after several minutes of concentration. The arrow seems to move at a slower than possible pace. Johnny lowers his arms, rises onto his tiptoes, and waits. Direct hit. He's in the air, jumping, then turns to me and smiles the smile of such excitement. "Indian," he exclaims. I congratulate him on a fine shot, and encourage several more. He is always pleased to do so. I have to do a lot of lines around Johnny, or rather in the bathroom, as often as needed. It's horrible when I lose patience with him. It happened once, and I felt miserable until I was certain he had either forgotten the incident or had forgiven me. I will not go into the details because my behavior was too horrible. To put it simply, I did a convincing as hell imitation of Bob. It was cruel. The ugliest I had ever felt. I made sure to apologize and explain as best I could as soon as it happened. I wanted him to know I realized it and stopped. I went and scraped up enough out of the bullet and a couple vials at the bottom of my purse to get high. I could think. It's only hard when I don't have it. That's why Bobby and I are seeing each other so innocently and so frequently. But you don't know about all that, do you? Well, hang on. I have to open up the bedpost here and do a couple lines before Mom comes up to tell me I've got dishes, garbage, etc. to take care of. Shit. I can't believe how different my life is when I simply walk out the front door of this house. I'll be back as soon as I can. Laura.